Hogstye.
Hey everybody, and I feel like I've just been talking to you because we've been doing nonstop podcasting here at the Hogstye. It is Alex with you, Steve is with me, Jamal still off because, like I said, it was his birthday, and he's like doing birthday things, and then he's doing Thanksgiving things.
Yeah, he's having like a extended birthday celebration or something at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, the government, because everyone's working from home, I'll be honest, I haven't gotten more than like 3 emails all week, so I'm sure like this is the time, if your birthday is this week, just go out and do it, you know?
I don't even like people saying happy birthday to me, much less having a week-long celebration, though.
Oh, I don't know how old is he turning the big 3-0 or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if I think he's still in his late 20s.
But would it shock you to know that an introvert like me does not like birthdays?
Oh, no, doesn't shock me at all. You know what I like doing for my birthday? I like going somewhere, maybe me and the wife, and that's about it.
Yeah, that would be the limit of it. Like somebody threw a surprise birthday party for me, I don't know, 10 years ago,
right.
10 or 15 years ago at a bowling alley. I was like, can I leave? You know, I don't have to stay for this, do I?
Sure. Well, 2 years ago, I did my trip to the Virgin Islands. And we'll get
that's
back.
family, though. I get that.
Well, it was my birthday and my grandmother's birthday, which are one day apart, and she was turning 90. So that was like a big thing. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
That's the most big thing I've done for my birthday is me, my brother, my grandmother, and my wife.
Well, we took the boys and stuff to Disneyland one year over my birthday weekend.
Okay, but that's for them. That's not for you so much.
I enjoyed it.
I mean,
are you kidding me? Have you ever been to Disney World?
Yeah, of course. Well, I haven't in a long time. I was supposed to go this year for a friend's birthday. We were going to do a Disney cruise.
It was definitely a kid thing, but you don't have kids, though. I mean,
no.
you know, all that stuff is fun.
No, but I have adult friends who really like Disney, which is like children in a way.
Well, you do different things because there are adult things to do at Disney World.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we were going to do this like pirate cruise for a couple of days. So it's dress up like a pirate on a cruise ship and just go get drunk. That's kind of
See, yeah, I would have to jump off the boat and swim to shore or something for that.
I don't think you'd like to dress up either.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. And,
it's like, hey, you want to come to the Halloween party? No.
No. Well, now I own a pirate
I'm busy
costume.
that day.
I have a pirate costume sitting by.
Yeah, whatever day you're having your party, I'm busy.
Yes, I get you. Speaking of dressing up in costumes, why don't we start talking about this game with Dallas on Thanksgiving?
Okay.
And I'll say dressing up in costumes because Mike McCarthy, not a week ago, but a few days ago, before their game versus Minnesota, apparently put on a Gallagher costume, grabbed a sledgehammer, and started smashing watermelons in front of his team in order to motivate them. Which, okay, they won the game, but if you get motivated by a fat man throwing a sledgehammer around at watermelons, I don't know, man. Like that's
first of all, how many millennials know who Gallagher is? Number one.
I'm a millennial. I know who he is.
Yeah, but you're in your late 30s.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so
how
young
many
millennials, they
22-year-olds
don't
know who Gallagher? None.
No.
And so now it makes more sense because you told me about this watermelon thing before the show, and I didn't understand where the watermelon thing comes from. But now Gallagher kind of makes sense. I think it's ridiculous, but at least there's some logic behind it.
But again, you bring up a good point. The players on the Cowboys are all like young millennials, so they wouldn't know.
No.
and let's be honest, Gallagher did not appeal to an African American audience very much. So a lot of these players probably have no idea what he's doing.
That's stupid. Now, I mean, I did read that Shannon Sharp called it racist, and I think Shannon Sharp is the biggest dope on sports media. That's just absurd.
I'm about as far left as anybody in this country, and I'm like, that's not really like
I'm
Yeah.
Not far right, but I'm a conservative, and I definitely think that's stupid.
Right.
So Shannon Sharp, I mean, anyway, what is Mike McCarthy thinking?
I don't know, man. Like,
God, that's just how is that? Okay, even assuming a majority of the players know who Gallagher is, which is absolutely not true. But assuming they did, why would that motivate anybody?
Right. Well, I mean, okay, it's fun to smash things. I get that.
Well, sure.
So, I mean, like, maybe you just enjoyed it at that level. But, here's how I would, get my defense to play better if I were Mike McCarthy. It's got no sledgehammers or watermelons. It's go out, teach them how to go out there and actually tackle. Focus on some fundamentals on the practice field rather than, antics and rah-rah. Because here's the thing, and I've heard players say this before. The rah-rah stuff can work maybe once in a season. Once that card is dealt, you can't go back to it, for that whole season, maybe even not the next year, because it doesn't really work with professionals. And think about your own life as an adult. When's the last time your boss came and gave, a big rousing speech?
I would definitely roll my eyes.
Right. Now, granted, Steve, you're in your 40s, I'm in my late 30s. We definitely are cynical at this point. But even in my 20s, I don't think that would work.
I was cynical when I was 20, though.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not a great example, though, because I'm very cynical.
Right. Although you were in the military in your 20s, so, there's more of a team mentality there than I think most people have.
For sure, but you're not going to hear a big rah-rah.
Right. There's no General Patton speeches being delivered in the last 50 years.
No, not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
Right. But yeah, so there was that. That was a funny thing that people have been talking about with the Cowboys lately. There was a crazy story that apparently came out today.
Today being Wednesday when we're recording this.
Yeah.
No, today isn't Wednesday.
No.
Today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday. You're hearing this on Wednesday. We're really messed up because of this stupid schedule.
Yeah, the schedule. We hate these Thanksgiving week games.
So the more depressing story is apparently the Cowboys' strength and conditioning coach, Marcus Paul, who he's a former player. I think he's in his mid-50s. The Cowboys. It was very weird what happened. The Cowboys put out on Twitter, "Oh, we're not having practice today. Medical thing, not COVID." That was all they put out there. People start speculating on Twitter really quickly. I saw some people saying that Mike McCarthy might be dead or, in the hospital for something, which wouldn't surprise you if you look at the man.
He's fat and unhealthy.
He's very pale, very heavy. He looks like he's having a heart attack at all times.
Yes.
He
looks like John Candy on coke.
Right. And that's saying a lot right there. Wouldn't that just be Chris Farley? John Candy on coke?
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's better.
Yeah, because John Candy, Farley. I don't think ever had that problem.
No, I meant Chris Farley. Chris Farley on coke.
Yes,
yeah.
Mike McCarthy.
That's Mike McCarthy.
Yes, Mike McCarthy kind of looks like that. But it turns out it was the strength and conditioning coach.
I was getting my fat white comedians mixed up.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 of them, and they all died young.
Who's that? Well, Belushi.
Belushi's
the other one.
Third, yes.
He's just a big mess, though. That's
well, yes. Also coke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the story comes out that they're canceling practice, and then rumors start flying from press guys that the strength and conditioning coach has passed away. Now I'm seeing on Twitter he didn't die, that he's just in the ICU for something serious, nearly fatal.
Sorry, Mr. Paul's family. We didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. And it really just drives home 2 things that I think that 2020 should have taught us all. 1, don't trust shit on Twitter. 2, if you are the official PR people, don't vague it. You have to, if you're going to say we're canceling practice, you have to give us here's why, here's what's going on. We'll give you more information as it comes, as best you can.
You know what, Alex, to be perfectly honest, it's, aside from our Twitter page, which is certainly the greatest Twitter page on the application.
Yes.
I am so much happier not being on any social media than I was before.
Mm-hmm.
It has made a world of difference. I highly recommend all of you get off of all social media except for the Hogsty, because we're great. But beyond that, don't read any of it, because I promise you will be better off.
Right. Stop doom scrolling. Stop, reading things that are
delete it.
Yeah. Stop reading conspiracy theories.
Yes.
And don't read the stuff from either your side or the other side if you have a side in political stuff. Because
it's always wrong and dumb.
Yeah, yes. 99% of it's dumb, and I'd say 100% of it's wrong. So
Yes.
calm down. But I when stuff like this does happen, my first reaction was, oh my God, if their coach died, do you cancel a football game if a head coach dies that soon?
No.
No? You think 2 days out they wouldn't maybe or push it back or something?
No, I don't think so. I think the NFL would say go play on.
Okay. I would have a hard time finding a way to make a team play without.
Listen, Sean Taylor died and Washington was on the Redskins were on the field. What, 3 days later?
That's true, but one player versus a coach is also.
I get that, but I just think the NFL, the machine would continue to turn. The burning Ferris wheel goes on.
Yeah, I guess so. And it would be.
But our condolences to, what was it, Marcus Paul?
I believe so. Yeah. Is that what I wrote? I deleted it already off my notes. Shoot.
Our condolences to Mr. Paul's family for whatever medical emergency he had, and we hope he recovers.
I mean, even though I would like to see the Cowboys, absolutely ruined as an organization, see their stadium a burning pile of rubble.
Die.
No, I don't want anyone to die. I just want everyone can vacate the stadium, then it becomes a burning pile of rubble.
There. It's not. We don't want to hurt anybody.
No. So yes, condolences to him, even to the team there. You don't want to see anything like this. It's
certainly
the same mentality I had with Joe Burrow getting hurt. You don't want to see that happen, even if it's the other team.
It was ugly.
Yeah.
It was an ugly hit.
Yeah, Steve went back and got us a close up of the hit at one point.
I went to the All 22 and something I will not send. We will not send out because we're not that morbid.
Right.
And made a GIF of the hit itself in this best quality I could possibly get off of All 22.
It's rough. I didn't think it was as bad as it turned out it was. Yeah, that one was.
But that's going to remain internal.
Yes, we'll keep that. We're not morbid. Or
no.
We are, but we're not publicly morbid.
There you go. Can we? I guess we vamped long half.
Yeah.
The show.
All right. Let's talk about this.
Dallas.
Let's talk about this game.
This other stuff is more interesting, quite honestly. But
yeah. Okay. So 2, 3, and 7 teams. Whoever wins gets to be in first place for 2 days. Let's keep that in mind. If you win this game, Washington, you are back in first place.
Amen.
So at 4 and 7 or whatever.
Okay. Look.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is not quite the same Dallas team as we faced back in October.
No. The one we faced in October was still gut punched, I feel like, from losing Dak a little bit.
Yeah, and they had something called Ben DiNucci under center.
After what's his face went out. Yeah.
Yeah. Andy Dalton he's not been good.
No.
His quarterback rating is 75, I believe. Where's my number?
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, 75.3 quarterback rating, 63.2 completion percentage. He's not been good, but he also kind of got it together against the Vikings.
Right.
And what's more scary is that was the Viking game was the first game that Ezekiel Elliott looked like himself.
Right.
For whatever reason, Elliott has not had a good season all year. He's been bad basically all year. That Vikings game, he looked like himself. And it's probably not an accident that offense looked much more competent when you have Andy Dalton back and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a couple of games under his belt, and the running back is doing better. It's not surprising that they played a lot better on offense. And so that ought to scare us in terms of Washington fans.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not the same totally incompetent Dallas offense.
No. I mean, what you really expect from Dalton is kind of what we also expect from Alex Smith. These are veteran guys. You expect them to come in, maybe not throw 5 touchdowns, but at least manage the game properly. And I think it took Dalton a while, especially after his injury, to come back and kind of get to that point. But, that's kind of what he's doing now. I mean, he only threw for, 165 or something like that?
Yeah.
Last week, and
it was in that range. Yeah.
That's nothing. That's you're basically making a couple checkdowns on third down. And
it's Alex Smith.
Yeah,
is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the weird thing about the Dallas offense is that they're 7th in total yards on the season.
Right.
6th in yards per game, 8th in passing yards, but negative 12 in turnovers, 31st in the league, behind only, I believe, the Broncos. I think.
Right.
That's what's killing them.
Yeah.
They have a ton of fumbles. Now, what I distinctly remember is when we talked about this during the Dallas game in October, You asked me how many fumbles did Zeke have. I said 5. Well, he still has 5. He hasn't fumbled
Okay, so he
again
hasn't
since.
fumbled a lot since.
No,
All right.
and Dalton himself has 4 TDs, 4 interceptions.
All right.
So Dalton hasn't done that well, but that's what's killing them. If you look at their games,
Mm-hmm.
it's there's not a lot of 3-and-out and punt, 3-and-out and punt. They've had a couple safeties, they've had a bunch of turnovers.
Right.
They can move the ball, they're just not getting home. And if you look at their red zone percentage, they're 26th in red zone efficiency for touchdowns.
That's
26. So they're not
low.
scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
So between the fumbles and the not getting home in the red zone, they can move the ball. They can't quite get there. If they ever put it together, they're going to start scoring points, and it's kind of what they did against the Vikings.
Right. And I mean, you bring up two good points. We always have to keep in mind that being that high in total yardage, kind of an optical illusion, because when Dak was in there, he was on pace for like 6,000 passing yards.
Dak was crazy. Dak had 1,800, almost 1,900 yards in 4 games, 5
something
games?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on pace
Crazy.
for breaking the yardage record at one point. So
Absolutely.
We have to keep that part in mind. If he put up 1,800 yards and Dalton's putting up 165 a game, or something like that, those numbers will come back down to earth by the end of the season. But
absolutely,
it still is a offense with a very good running back. I mean, I know he was struggling early, but like you said, he's kind of getting in his groove. You've got a couple of good receivers there. I think both their top 2 receivers are over 600, close to 700 yards.
Yes, they are. Cooper is got 736.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact.
Yeah. So, you have to have your defense just play sound against those weapons. And, I mean, we've been very good against good receivers so far this year. But, running backs have beaten this team up. So
Washington's rushing defense, I think, looks better on paper than it really is.
Yeah, well, and I've said that about the passing game too.
It's definitely true about the passing game.
Yeah.
I kind of stole my own thunder by giving you the Cooper yardage.
Right.
But see if you can guess McLaurin versus Cooper here. You ready?
Okay.
93 targets versus 90 targets. 62 receptions versus 65 receptions. 14 yards per catch versus 11.3 yards per catch.
I'm going to guess that the 14 yards a catch is Terry McLaurin, just because I believe he's been up there in that number. So,
yeah, that's right. And so my point here is that I'm not trying to skip around, but, Amari Cooper, elite receiver, 90 targets on the year, 65 receptions. That's 10th in the NFL. He's 736 yards, is 15th. McLaurin's got him beat, and multiple of these. He's only has 62 receptions, 3 less, but he's got almost 900 yards, 871 yards receiving. So, I mean, it's not just Washington fans that are singing Terry McLaurin's praises. Statistically, he is an elite number 1 receiver.
I was doing some number crunching, just kind of projecting where guys are going to probably finish. McLaurin right now is paced to finish right at 1,400 yards.
That's,
which would put him, I think, 3rd all time in Redskins receivers. Which, I mean, there's been a lull, but there's some great names in that group of Washington pass catchers.
What I did do on that is I went and looked at all Redskins receivers in team history in their first 2 years. McLaurin is already 3rd in catches and yardage in the first 2 seasons, behind I think Gary Clark maybe was the number 1. I think
Gary Clark is number 1. You're right.
I've got it on a tweet because that was one of the few things I tweeted the only thing I tweeted this week from our Twitter.
Yeah, but I've tweeted like 400 things, so now you're going to have to scroll through all my stupidity. And
oh, okay, so I'm never going to find it. Wait a minute, I got it. I flipped my thumb and it went right to it. Okay, so Gary Clark in first 2 seasons had 2,191 yards.
Okay.
And then Charlie Brown had 1,915. And then catches, it's Clark with 146, Jameson Crowder 126, and then McLaurin is at 120. So McLaurin is easily going to be second and maybe first, depending on how the season goes in receptions. And he's only 401 yards behind Clark for yardage. He could do that.
Probably will get it, but
yeah, barring injury or barring disaster, it probably will be first in both.
I mean, I will say this: the yardage one, 400 yards in 6 games, is not necessarily an easy thing to do. That's not.
No, but it's very possible.
It's very possible. Yeah, you can have 400-yard games or 100-yard games, and boom, you're there. But he's also this year. I feel like he's been very productive, but he hasn't had that big game, that 150. Mm-mm. He hasn't had one of those monster games.
Look who's quarterback. He's on his third quarterback.
Yeah, I know.
2 of them haven't been good. By the way, just to finish up the Dallas offense, because I didn't mean to get us totally sidetracked. So what you need to look for out there, the 3 guys, C.D. Lamb, who's a stud, Amari Cooper, obviously, and then the other 2, Michael Gallup, and then the tight end Dalton Schultz. So there's 4 of them. That's Dallas's passing offense.
Right.
C.D. Lamb, Dallas hit on this receiver in this year's draft.
Yeah.
They really did. He is a stud. He made a just unbelievable catch in the end zone last week against the Vikings.
Right.
You're shaking your head. It was an unbelievable catch. And so it's a kind of a strength on strength thing a little bit in terms of corners, because who's played well? Ronald Darby and Kendall Fuller have both played pretty well. The safeties haven't, and they've had a bunch of mix-ups.
Right.
But I think this might be a game where you want to try more man coverage.
I could see that, although a lot of Darby's success, I believe Mark Bullock's been pointing this out on Twitter, it's a lot of cover 3 shell where he's having success. So
yeah, but I mean, in absence of letting Troy Apke and Cameron Curl have a go at it, I mean, what's your option?
Yeah,
what's your best option?
Half those great plays by Darby last week were basically because Apke missed the coverage. But yeah. Hopefully, DeShazer Everett will be back. I think they're
there was one. I forget who the player was, the Bengals receiver, but he ran a post right in the middle of the field. Looked like cover 4, and Apke just flat out ignored the post.
Right.
Which forced Darby to make a tremendous play in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, look, Apke has a lot of issues. He clearly would be better off as a strong safety. Not good, but better off. He's better. I
don't know, man. He's
going
fast.
Downhill.
Yeah, I guess, but I think Apke is just better off on the bench. To be honest,
I'm not going to disagree. I'm saying if you're giving him an F as a free safety, he maybe gets a D as a strong safety.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very weak at safety.
They really are, and
especially with Landon Collins out.
Yeah, and Everett was hurt last week, and I think he's trying to get back in.
Oh yeah.
You have the injury
we'll do
stuff?
Injury report real fast. This explains why Dallas has a very short injury report, and it didn't change at all, basically. So Washington, there were a bunch of DNPs on Monday, but Tuesday, the DNPs were Dustin Hopkins. That was the only DNP, and then the limiteds were McLaurin, Anderson, and Everett, and Cornelius Lucas. So that is injuries. I have to think that Dustin Hopkins probably isn't going to play. So you may see, Kari Vedvik elevated to the roster for one weekend would be my guess.
I would be okay with that, frankly. I think, Hopkins,
if he's hurt, he's hurt,
Yeah, he's hurt, and he's been missing a lot. I don't know if it's in his head or if he's been dealing with this groin injury longer than we'd realize.
Maybe, yeah. He's better than this. He's better than what he's shown.
Yeah,
this year.
I know people like to kick him around, but yeah. At some point, every kicker goes through something like this.
Yeah. So anyway, Dallas offense to summarize, they're better. They have gotten better. Specifically last week, this Vikings team kind of scared me because they sort of look like the Dallas of old. Andy Dalton's getting his feet wet and getting more comfortable. Ezekiel Elliott had a good game.
Yeah.
All of that scares me, and all of that says maybe Dallas is going to be better, especially at home, especially on Thanksgiving Day, than we've seen before. And let's face it, Washington has a terrible record on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah. Better than our normal primetime record, actually, but not much.
I think I went and counted. I think it was their 4-9 in all time on Thanksgiving. I think it is.
But like our primetime record is like sub 100. It's
it's bad.
It's like
bad
0.8 something. Yeah. or .08 something win percentage. All right, let's switch sides to the offense then. As much as, yes, Dallas's offense is starting to get better, that defense is still pretty bad, thankfully. They're, 30th in points, 31st in points?
Well, I happen to have that. They're actually last in points.
Oh,
They've
dead
given
last.
up 318 points, 32 and last in the NFL in points.
Yeah.
Where they're really, really, really awful is rushing. They are terrible at rushing. They're 30th. Yep. They've gotten better. When we did this last time, they were last in the NFL in rushing yards per attempt. Now they're merely 30th, but they're still giving up 4.9 yards per rushing attempt. Their pass defense is better. Their corners aren't terrible. The problem with Dallas's defense, in addition to the rush, is that they also don't get a ton of pressure on the quarterback.
Right,
which
right.
hurts
so you
their
can dink
secondary.
And dunk them as long as you can get a guy open.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rushing thing is going to be interesting to watch because I believe we put up 200 yards. We talked about that last week.
I think it was 164.
Was that 164? Okay.
Well, I think that might have been what I added up for.
Yeah.
I will look real fast.
Yeah, if you want to look it up. But we had a very good day on the ground versus them last time. I don't remember who our quarterback was at that point.
Oh, I thought you meant last week.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. No. Last time versus Dallas.
Yeah, 208 yards against Dallas back in October, and then 164 last week.
Was it Kyle Allen quarterbacking? Do you see that written there?
Give me 1 second. I believe it was.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yes, it was Kyle Allen. He went 15 for 25 for 194 yards.
A typical Kyle Allen-ish performance there.
A typical Alex Smith performance, too.
Yeah. I mean, Smith has at least gotten a couple 300-yard games, but those are probably more of a mirage.
And by a couple, you literally mean a couple.
Yes, I did. I meant a couple.
You weren't exaggerating.
I meant
it's like a couple.
Two. Deuce.
So what can Washington do against Dallas' defense?
Yeah.
Establish a running game.
Yes. Yeah, kind of what they did last week. I think we've seen this enough now where they're starting to embrace that they are more of an outside zone team, and that's where their yardage is coming from with McKissick.
They're not good in the interior,
guys. Yeah, Perine had one good run last week where he got like 5-6 yards, and I was shocked by it. But then he went back to one or two. But he had one good one. So
you mean Perine? You meant Peyton Barber, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Peyton Barber. Yes.
Perine, well, Perine got an 8-yard run too.
Yes, Perine did the same thing on the other side.
Yeah, Peyton Barber had one. He forgot his fall down command there for one play.
Right. Well, because I think it was Brandon Scherf opened up this beautiful hole on a pull. And
even Peyton Barber couldn't mess it up.
Right. I mean, when you're not touched for 4 yards, then you can get 4 yards. You know?
He could have pulled a Hainsworth and just laid down on the ground, I guess.
Yeah,
but
curled up in a ball.
That would have been too obvious.
But yeah, I'm with you. They got to establish a run. They got to keep going to the outside. I think I won't be surprised if we see a lot of very Alex Smithy screen game passes. Keep hitting away at McKissick for the underneath stuff like he likes to do.
They're going to stick to their game plan.
Yeah.
They're not going to – I don't think anybody in the Washington building wants Alex Smith to throw 55 passes again.
No.
Unless he really has to. I think they're going to try the same game plan as they had against the Bengals in a combination of these sort of gadget runs, misdirection – outside zone, hit the edge stuff. I think we're going to see the exact same thing that we saw last week. And the difference is, are Dallas's linebackers better than the Bengals linebackers? Maybe.
Yeah. One thing I'll say, look out for this. Remember how last week Logan Thomas did a QB sneak at one point?
Yes.
I guarantee you that Scott, or I'm not going to guarantee it, but I won't be surprised if Scott Turner tries to set up some other kind of play like that this week. Maybe he doesn't do another QB sneak. Maybe Thomas goes under center, and then they still snap it to Alex Smith or something. But I won't be shocked if they try and set up some kind of gimmickry off of that.
No, that's true. I mean, my biggest fear is when you have a running game that only does
one thing okay.
Yeah, that these defenses are going to start to key on it. And maybe the Bengals sucked, and the Cowboys suck too in terms of run defense. So maybe neither one of them can stop it. But at some point, I think defenses are going to start keying on it and successfully stopping it if they do
I
it over and over
expect
and over
us to
again.
get 20 yards versus Pittsburgh on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely, and be thankful for those 20.
Right. It'll be 10 runs for 20 yards, and then we give up and just throw 55 times. That's what'll happen.
Yeah, and still get blown out 36-0.
Of course. But versus Dallas, I'm expecting us to see 20 to 25 runs.
Yeah,
you'll get over 100. Like I think if you give them a steady running game, they'll eat up some clock. They'll
honestly,
do a good job.
I think this game, the biggest thing for Washington is to get out of their own head. They know their record.
Yeah, they know what they are.
Prime time. They know how they've been in Thanksgiving Day games.
Mm-hmm.
They know they've normally don't come through when the lights are brightest. I think they need to get out of their own head and just play football and do what couple things they do well is pass to Terry McLaurin, run these outside zone things. That's the only two things they really do well, and stick to that and hope for the best. Because Dallas, at the end of the day, yes, their offense has gotten better and all that, but their defense is about the same, and it's not a good defense. And they proved once before they can score on them. They can do it again. I mean, Dallas has not held anybody to under 23 points. The Eagles were the lowest scoring team. The Eagles were the lowest scoring team in the season, 23 points.
Right.
They haven't stopped anybody ever, including Washington.
No, they haven't. And I will be very curious to see.
That's wrong. The Rams scored 20 in week 1, but you get my point. My point is the same.
Yeah, I will be curious to see how, like I said earlier, an Alex Smith-led offense does versus the Cowboys. I mean, I think back to that game, I was nervous the whole time they were playing them last time, even though, Dallas was almost never really in it. Other than, at the beginning, like Washington kind of took that thing and ran with it pretty early.
Well, it's because you have football PTSD like I do, and you expect the worst out of this franchise because we've seen nothing but the worst for 25 years now.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's just PTSD. Well, anything else you want to cover with the offense, or do we want to? I mean, we kind of talked some Terry McLaurin. They're out of sync, but
I'd point out that Dallas has got pretty good special teams.
Sure.
So keep it, and they've been great in punt returns. They're averaging over 10 yards per punt return. So watch for that. Watch to see if Tressway can pin them down, or there's an advantage because they've been pretty good returning. So watch for that. Dallas has been really, really bad on third downs on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So can Washington sustain a few drives? If there's any team they can do it against, it's Dallas.
Yeah.
So watch for that. But I think again, mostly it's just you guys got to get out of your own head and play well for once in your lives on a prime time national audience
and stick to what you do well, especially early on. Like last 2 weeks we've seen them go on these drives in their opening series, and they do okay, and then they just stall out either just outside of field goal range, or they get into field goal range and then get knocked out. It's okay to come, like, if you're at like 3rd and 15 and you're at like the 30-yard line, just run the ball, kick a field goal. That's a win.
Getting points.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's a new coaching staff here, but a lot of these players have been here a long time.
Yeah.
They've been through this. And so I just think it's one of these games that an attitude right out the gate is key. I think if Washington can start off strong in this game, it really bodes well. But if it goes south immediately, we've seen these teams in these games really steamroll and just look awful.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important on Thursday that they start off strong, like you said. Get points. For once, they have not scored a point on an opening drive in this entire season.
Yeah.
Now is the time to do that.
Yeah. Get a safety on defense or something.
Anything, please.
Yeah. I'll be happy.
I'll take it.
Yeah. It would be nice to draw first blood and kind of stay in the game right away. All right. I think that should wrap up the show. I guess we got to do predictions.
Yes.
All right, Steve, what is your prediction for this game? And, what kind of, are you eating anything? You are excited to eat anything in particular for Thanksgiving? Or no?
Okay, well, in terms of Thanksgiving, we're having turkey.
Traditional stuff,
I'm
I
not a
assume?
big, yeah, I'm not a big foodie, and I'm also not a cook. So it's whatever I have ordered from the grocery store to have them prepare it for me, and I can heat it up is what we're having.
Yeah, I figured that, but you're not excited for anything in particular?
We'll also have two people in the house who are very, very, very picky
Oh, right.
about
I
side
forgot how
dishes and stuff.
your kids are
Yeah,
pickier than you are, which is
and
saying
that's
something.
saying a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm very picky. So yeah, there's only a limited number of things we can do. But in terms of this game, I'm gonna go against type here, Alex.
All right.
I just have some weird feeling. I mean, they crushed this team by Washington standards a month ago, and I think I'm just gonna hope against hope that they can do it again. I think it'll be closer. I don't think Dallas is gonna lay an egg. They just showed too much last week, but I'm gonna say Washington pulls out a squeaker. They're not gonna score a lot of points, but they're gonna pull out a squeaker like something down to the wire, like 24-21 Washington.
21?
I can't just keep picking them to lose every game. I got to
Sure.
pick them to win sometimes.
Sure, I get it. And, it's Thanksgiving. It's, a big game. And it's two terrible teams. So
Yeah,
I'm
they're
gonna
horrible.
say that the score reflects the fact that it's two terrible teams a little bit, and I'm gonna guess this ends up being a low scoring game, unusually so for both teams. And I agree with you on a squeaker though. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be something like 17-13 Washington.
That would also make sense.
Yeah, just sloppy. Neither team's ready because it's a short week. So,
Yeah.
all
We
right.
can do our Steelers predictions now for next week if you want.
No, that's all right. Infinity to 2. That's
Oh, yeah, exactly. Everybody, by the way, please have a happy Thanksgiving.
yes.
We hope you do. Please, my advice from me to you is to ignore whatever stupid rule your governor is putting in place and just have your normal Thanksgiving and have it be as normal. Whatever you do that.
This
Just
advice
don't worry
not
about the
endorsed by
governor.
the rest of the Hogsty. Just Steve.
It's just me talking. Ignore whatever dumb rule the government's put out. Just you guys do you for Thanksgiving. You'll be better off for it, I promise.
Unless everybody dies. And
Which
then,
they won't.
well, they might. There have already been stories of people doing family parties and dying. So, be smart. Don't be stupid. That's my advice to people.
My advice is to do whatever you want.
Yes. I think that it symbolizes both of our ideologies pretty well.
There you go.
All right, guys. Take care and have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye.